Good morning, everybody. We're here on the 2018 Kawasaki Z900RS. This is Kawasaki's entry into the retro sports classic bike segment, and they got a really unique bike here. You know, a lot of other companies try to bring back some of the old stuff, or make a new bike with styling attributes of something old. Well, this thing is an authentic remake interpretation of the 1973 Kawasaki Z900. Until that bike came out, Kawasaki was kind of in the doldrums. And then that thing came out, and it had power, it had styling, it had handling. It was lightweight for its time. It was just a really high performance bike with the inline 4 engine and disc brakes. And this thing is a fully modernized version of that. All the classic styling bits from that 70s machine, they're all here in this motorcycle. It's actually pretty amazing when you see both bikes in person. You're like, my God, this 2018 bike, it totally resembles the old 1973 bike, but takes things to the nth degree with the LED multi-shaped LED headlight, the instrumentation where it's got the nice analog gauges here with a beautiful LCD backlit display here. It gives you the best of both worlds. You have that nostalgic feel here on the sides, and that information in the middle loaded with information like tripometers, fuel mileage, range, temperature. It's really great. I think Kawasaki engineers really hit a home run in the styling department on this bike. It's an absolutely beautiful bike. I like everything about it, like the inverted fork, the heavy-duty radial monoblock style brake calipers. This is a very beautiful looking motorcycle. It's even got a heavy-duty radial pump front brake master cylinder. Brakes on this thing, obviously it has ABS, so you're never going to have to worry about skids or slides. It's always on, you can't turn it off, which is kind of a bummer, but for everyday riding on the street, it's nice having ABS. It's nice taking that worry out of quick stops or riding in the wet, riding over gravel, and actuating the brakes. Clutch on this bike, old bikes, we all remember riding old bikes, and those clutches, God, you had to have the hand of God, the left hand power of Zeus to work the clutch. Not anymore. The clutch on this bike is truly, like, I can use 2 fingers. I could probably use 1 finger. I can use 1 finger to operate it, and it's very easy to use. If you were a person with not a lot of hand dexterity or strength, I think you could still operate this clutch fairly well. Also nice touch is the 6-way lever position adjustment, so you can bring the lever closer to the handlebar or farther away depending on your size of your hands. I have generally medium size 9 or 10 hands, and I like the levers fairly close to the handlebar. That's what I prefer, just so the controls are easy to use when I'm riding in a pinch. Engine on this bike, it's nothing that new or exciting. It's actually it's the same engine that's used in the Z900, which is the same engine that was used in the Ninja 900 way back when. So it's not exactly the newest engine. Obviously it has improvements like the updated clutch and other things like fuel injection, but it's still an older engine. But you would never know from riding it. Like, I can't believe how smooth this thing is. It's almost totally devoid of vibration. Here at 5,000 RPM, I feel a little bit of buzz through the foot controls, but nothing major at all. And it's so smooth. It has gobs of torque. The first gear is a little bit lower than the Z900, so it's a granny gear. The only time you're going to want to be in first gear is if you're going really slow or climbing a hill. Otherwise, you can just launch from second gear. The engine has that much torque. Torque comes online really early in the power band. Mid-range is real meaty, but rev it past 7,500, 8,000 RPM, and woo, whee, you're going for a ride. It has really good top end pull, and even better than the pull is just the noise that this engine makes. You know, a lot of times you might bag on Kawasaki for sticking with the, you know, conventional inline 4 with the conventional firing order, but Kawasaki really knows how to hone and tune the acoustics of these engines. You know, this thing just sounds badass. And we're not even to the meat of the power band yet. The air induction howl is punchy, makes you want to twist it. The exhaust note it's got a really nice, pleasing tone. In fact, the acoustics on this motorcycle are so good, just out of the box, I wouldn't even waste time throwing a pipe on it. It just sounds that good from the factory. Kawasaki's always on the a little bit conservative side of noise requirements, and I'm actually surprised that this bike puts out as much pleasing noise as it does. Very smooth, very refined. The 6-speed transmission shifts through the gears really well. It's got a real positive engagement. The shift lever has a real light feel. It's really easy to make those gears, and once you change those gears, it's in the gear. You can really feel it. There's not any slop at all in that gearbox. And it really works well with the clutch. Clutch has a lot of feel, super easy to use with your hand, but still has some level of tension, so it doesn't just feel like some generic toy bike. Suspension on this motorcycle, you know, the inverted fork up front and the horizontal back link style shock. The fork has full damping adjustment, preload, rebound, compression. Shock just limited to preload and rebound. The suspension generally works pretty okay for, you know, riding around town like we are right now. Ride quality is fairly good. When you start hitting a bunch of bumps, the stuff, it does get a little wishy-washy in my opinion. A little bit bouncy. And you really feel that in the canyons too. That was probably my biggest gripe about this bike, is just I wish it had a little bit more road holding in the canyons when you're getting after it. It's by no means bad, but you got to think about it. When this Z900 came out back in the day, you know, it was the badass bike. You know, it handled great, did all these things great. And while this bike handles good, I really would have liked to have seen Kawasaki take the handling and the suspension to the next level. Like, how cool would it be if this bike, you know, had the suspension balance of a Ninja sport bike? You know, Ninja sport bikes, they ride real good on the street and they ride real good in the canyons. And a little bit more sport orientated handling on this thing, I would have really appreciated. We did play with the suspension adjusters, and, you know, slowing down the suspension a little bit did help, but I would still like to see a little bit even more damping ability to slow down that suspension, make it a little bit less pogo-y. You know, the throttle response on this bike, some might say it's a little bit herky-jerky in first gear, but honestly, you get used to it. I wouldn't say it's bad by any means. It's just maybe a little bit more responsive. Obviously, that jolty suspension kind of plays into it a little bit, but not bad at all. Direct connection between the engine and the rider. Ergonomics on this bike. I really like these ergonomics. It's a really comfortable motorcycle for the meter ride here. Handlebar is nice and high, super wide. Probably not the best for splitting traffic here in LA, but for like a commanding, comfortable stance, it's just that. You know, if you wanted to, you could swap out the handlebar, use something different. All it would require is using a 12mm Allen to remove these Allen bolts and swap in your favorite handlebar. But honestly, I like this one. I would just run it stock. Position of the foot pegs, they're a little bit lower and more far forward as compared to the Z900, and it's a real comfortable, real neutral riding position. If you're someone who, you know, doesn't have the best mobility in the knees or in the legs, or you don't do yoga every day, I think you're gonna really like the way this bike fits. It's really easy to hop on and ride, and when you're in the riding position, it's no stress. It's just so easy. Great ergonomics. The seat on this bike, like even the styling of the seat, it just looks so cool. There's no crazy materials like Naugahyde or Corinthian leather or Alcantara. It's pretty basic, but God, it looks so good, and it's fairly comfortable. The seat actually has a bit of a pan, so it actually kind of holds your buttocks. The old style bikes were just like these flat, just generic seats, and this thing has some sculptedness to it, some sculpture, and it really holds your behind really, really well. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more support. It's not too soft, but it's a little bit soft. We weren't riding that much today. We only logged maybe 50, 60 miles, 70 miles total, so it wasn't a very long ride by any means, but I did feel maybe just a hint of discomfort even in that short ride. I think a firmer seat would be better for a lot of folks. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for just a really nice looking retro bike, something that pays homage and stays period correct to the old bikes of the 70s, like the Z900, yet has a real modern appearance, with the LED headlight and the contrast cut wheels and all these styling bits that just you want in a new bike, and something that doesn't have a crazy heavy clutch, something that's not dripping oil on your garage floor, something that starts every day, right up, day or night, hot or cold, mountains or in the desert. This Z900RS will probably be that bike for you. It's an absolutely stunning motorcycle, and it really stands apart from the competition in just how good looking it is. It rides just as good as it looks. Yeah, it's not quite as sporty as maybe I think it should be. A little bit more sport in the handling arena would probably be a good thing, but overall, if you're going to just ride this thing around town, whale in the canyons a little bit on the weekend, just want a real cozy around town bike that you can just stare at and be mesmerized at and just feel good when you ride, this Z900RS will be that bike for you. Some might complain that's a little bit expensive for the sum of the parts, but it really delivers a real pleasing riding experience, and it's a fun bike to ride. Now, if you want any more details on this bike, make sure you check out our website, ridersdomain.com/magazine. We'll have a written review on this motorcycle, and lots of video content. We're making multiple videos on these bikes now, just to give folks a little bit more depth on the capabilities of these machines and what it's like to ride these bikes. So make sure to tune in, subscribe to us on the old YT, and leave us a comment. Let us know if you like what we're doing. If you don't like what we're doing, we'd love to hear from you guys, and see what you're doing, what you're riding, and how life is on your side. So until next time, we'll see you later.